And good afternoon. It is Saturday, August 14th, and it's a happy day. I'm having a good time. I was able to accomplish a lot in the last week or so, and I don't film me actually working because if you're building one of these, you already know what you're doing. I don't need to teach you how to drill a hole or use a riv nut. Speaking of riv nuts, I put my first 3 or 4 of them in today. I'll tell you, if you're thinking about whether or not to get riv nuts, get riv nuts. Those things are phenomenal. Here, I'll show you. Put the camera over there. There's the exhaust. It's finished. I'm going to clean up the welds a little bit, and then they're going to get wrapped. So I didn't get fancy with my welds. I didn't even use the TIG. Exhaust, the headers for a 4.6 liter Mustang engine, the GT motor, the PI engine. Comes out, turns, does a U-bend. I have my port, my bunghole for the O2 sensor, that's installed, and of course my connection, and out the car. And I've got one mount right there. There's a second mount that came on these exhaust, but I'm going to end up cutting that off, cleaning it up, getting this thing recoated, but there's going to be just the one mount. I think we already went over this Willwood system. I did buy a Willwood proportioning valve, and I've got from the proportioning valve to the rear brakes run all the way to the back, and the front ones are fully connected. The front brakes are pretty simple. Basically, they come out of there, they wind down. I'm going to put a bolt there to hold that in place, and of course it follows along and comes in the other side. It's really not that big a deal. I had a neighbor ask me why I didn't do the little curl that takes care of vibrations and all that. Thing is, that body is directly mounted to that frame. There's no bushing, so there's no roll or anything. So the openness from here, one turn here and one turn there, that's going to give it enough. It will be clamped there and there, and then a couple clamps here and here, and then that'll be secure. I have the back brake run out and underneath. As you can see, it goes down underneath. I will secure it at the frame. I'm going to leave this loose. That'll be more than enough than what we need to attach that. So I'm going to hold real still in case you want a freeze frame. If you're putting a 4.6 into a Cobra, and you want that motor to set back as far as you can, well, they don't make a direct header. It comes out here and shoots straight to it. Plus, you want to have that O2 sensor in there. So I recommend buying the $150 headers that face forward, cut the flange off, do a U-bend, and then just a little 90 that comes in here, cut it off, weld it in, weld it in, weld it in. That's how I did it on the driver's side. That is finished. Like I said, I have some exhaust wrap, and that'll take care of that. And over on the other side, like I said, brakes are done. I'm going to replace all these lines here with stainless steel braided lines. A lot of this is just mock-up. Now on this side, I had the steering arm. You can see it going right through there. And I wanted lots of space underneath the header. Doesn't look like it. Camera don't pick it up. But I can stick my hand underneath here between the frame and the exhaust. And I can also stick my hand here underneath the steering arm, which goes down, and that just steering arm pokes through the firewall. Very tight fit. It's bolted up on the frame on the crossover. Comes down here and connects. Those are just standard coilovers. One thing I want to do is I'm going to mount a bar here with adjusters here and here. So when I go to do caster, camber, the toe in it doesn't matter, but the caster and camber, I'm going to have a fine, like a fine thread bolt, so that I can do the adjustments a little at a time until we get it, which of course I'll take it in. Also, air conditioning pump. I've installed that, and if you see here, I got room on the passenger side for the 2 ports for the air conditioning lines that'll come out. So I'm probably going to put a brand new pump in. This one's just for mock-up because it's a stock pump. It did work just fine. Maybe I'll run it for a while. I still have all the original pulleys and everything except for right there. Right there used to be the power steering, which was also those hydraulic brake booster that they used on the Mustangs. That's gone. That was right here. So I need to either find out if a belt will wind around there or whatever. But right there's my... I took that unit off and I bought one of these delete units so I could remote oil filter, which that's where I'm putting it, and coolant. And those 2 are 10 AN fittings. And those will come out and of course run up to the cooler that goes in here. Of course, radiator will be there. But on this side, it does go a little different. Instead of running down and around, I like keeping it away from the tires as much as I can, because you need to do this. Always turn the tire in to make sure that you can get past your tires. Yes, it works over there. I got about that much gap. Because you don't want to sit at a stoplight with your tire turned and your exhaust cook it. Plus, like I said, I'm wrapping the exhaust. But they sit a little differently also. So the header comes out. As you can see, the header comes out here, makes my turn. It's the same distance as the other one, but you see how much forward it comes. So I ran it up by the head. And I got that much room up past the head. This will be wrapped. Comes around and then just drops down in. It's using the same length, same distance for the most part. It's just doing it a little differently. And right there's where I have the bung hole. Right there, I have the bung for the O2 sensors. Like I said, when you look up here at the wiring harness, the O2 sensor plug is, and I don't think that's it. Yeah, that's it right there. The O2 sensor is right there. So when that comes back around, this will be able to plug back into it. Battery's right here. I'm probably going to put a power kill just on the inside of the firewall. I still have to mount the battery. Haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. When the car body is down on top of this engine, you cannot see that exhaust. Everybody's like, oh, you need to do my neighbor, you got to do a beautiful exhaust, make it all sexy. Well, no, I want it comfortable. This is a driver. This is not a show car. It's welded. It's secure. I really welded it because I need to make sure that that's going to hold the weight of that. It's welded very well. I put a little extra rows of weld on it. It is what it is. You don't like it, don't drive my car. And I'm going to wrap this all the way to there to keep the heat out of the firewall or the footwell. Same here. And I needed to get the exhaust done so that I could run all of this. My brakes, my proportioning valve. Over here is going to be a stop. I'm probably going to cut that line and run up to it. You know, it's just a hill assist. Basically, it's a lock for the front brakes just so I can sit there and peel out. Anyway, so there it is. That's as far as I've gotten since we've talked. But trust me when I say that is a lot of work, a lot of grinding, a lot of math. That wheel, if I turn the steering wheel, you can see there's lock to lock. There's my distance. I got more distance between the wheel and the exhaust than I do over here, and I could get my whole hand in there, so that's plenty. Mostly with it wrapped, that'll be plenty. So I'm not worried about the wheel hitting either, even when the wheel's being exercised. You know, the up and down motion as you hit bumps, you know, because that sits a little higher, you're actually getting closer to the apex. Trust me, there's a lot of room there. I've already gone through that. I started using riv nuts, which, by the way, I use riv nuts on these, which if you, like I say, get riv nuts. Best damn thing ever. If you look through here, I don't know if you can see them or not, but the riv nuts come through the fiberglass and they lock in. They compress and lock in to the holes that you drilled, and then I just have the bolts. All you do is drill the hole, boom, 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 you know, riv nut tight. Then you put your bolts in. These are 5/16 18. Then I can adjust it. This is actually my brake switch. So when I hit the brakes, this is what makes the brake lights come on. That's built in the Willwood set. That's another reason I bought this Willwood unit. It's a great little unit. And then I need to go from these two to these two. Like I said, I might go with the stainless steel lines, and then that's going to be a stainless steel line that goes down and around to the hydraulic, which that's the hydraulic for the clutch. Hydraulic clutch. I've switched to hydraulics. That's supposed to work, which I've looked at it 6 times, so I should be able to wing it. Install that, bleed it, then I'll have a hydraulic clutch. I haven't put my pedal covers on yet. I still got the Wildwood. I got the Wildwood pedals in there, here and here. And I know what you're thinking, what's that great big hole right there? That's where the previous owner had cut it out. I think he was trying to make more foot room. But that'll get fiberglassed in, and then I'll put my pads on here. And the nice thing is I can adjust the plates that go on these pedals left and right. So make sure I got plenty of room for my foot here, my foot there, and of course the gas pedal, which I haven't. That's part of what may or may not become the gas pedal. We'll see. But like I said, tilt wheel, turn signals built in. I even have the hazard button on the other side and a horn button. So if you can, with the exception of a key, I didn't want a key because I didn't want keys hanging down. I drove a friend's Cobra, and the keys hung down because he had it in there and it bothered my knee. It would always hit my knee, and I thought, that's stupid. So I'm going to, right here on this side, underneath the cowl, there'll be a push button. It'll be kind of hidden underneath. You won't see it unless you're sitting in the driver's seat. It'll be right there. Push button for accessory, and then start also. So, which is the nice thing, is having a push button start, and it'll be a key fob as a to shut the security off. So the key fob, you swipe the key fob and then hit the push button start. And I'll put the antenna wherever I want to in a hidden spot. That way only myself and, well, probably my wife. The hoop back there is secured. I drilled all the holes and bolted that in. It's temporary because I'm buying hardened bolts to go in there. I just wanted to find the right size bolt, mark it down. I made a list so I could put hardened bolts on the 3 points. There's a bolt here, a bolt here, a bolt here, and then there's, in the back, there's 2 bolts that hold it down. I don't know if anybody's ever put their hoop in. Basically, that's how it goes. I welded that in. They tell you to bolt that in, but you know what? There's no reason not to weld it in. I welded that in. That was already there. I welded this plate in. I guess it's so it matches the hoop. I got a bolt in it. And then over there on the other side, see the 2 bolts going through there? What I'm going to do is, I'm going to put a couple of hardened bolts through it. And right there in the middle. There and there. Those mount to the shock tower. And what I'm going to do is, I'm probably going to go ahead and on the shock side, run the 2 bolts in this way. And on this side, I'm going to put a nut on each side. I'm probably going to tack weld the nuts in. That way you don't need 2 wrenches. Mostly when you're inside the car. When the body's on, you know that's hard to get to. You need to pull this off to pull the body on and off and all that. Getting to it's really hard. So I'm going to weld a couple nuts on there, encapsulate them. I bought some hose for the fuel. Of course it showed up, it was wrong, so I won't be running the fuel thing yet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Still trying to decide my shifter. I got to close that hole up with fiberglass. I might do that in a couple weeks. Those are, of course, on my cup holders. I got to figure out where I'm doing then. And then I got to build a console that goes from the dash panel down here. And then I'm going to put in a marine radio because they're round. A round radio will look a lot better in here because my wife wants a radio. So with all the round gauges, putting a square radio in here just seems stupid. So I'm going to put a round one in there. And it'll also be able to tell me the time. I like being able to look down and see what time it is. Call me cheesy. But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Nothing else happening. Once I get the AN fittings and all that done and get that run up, I'll do another video on that. I probably won't put the cooler in for a while until after the body's back down. So I'll just plumb this together. The oil filter into the AN fittings, and then I'll probably look at getting the radiator. And then once the radiator's in, I could fire this without the radiator for a little bit. But once the radiator's in, I think we might take it for a drive. Biggest thing is fuel pump. Like I said, this fuel pump, that tank is 10 inches deep. That fuel pump does not go down 10 inches. It goes in sorry if I drop stuff down in the tank. You see, that's not 10 inches long, that's about 8 inches. I need to extend it about 2 inches. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do here. Because that's the pickup, so I want that on the bottom of the tank. And this is obviously this is the fuel level, and I want that to be able to go from the bottom of the tank being empty to full plus. So at least mostly register. So I just need to do that. It's just gonna be another one of those things. I have to figure out how to attach it permanently at the top, and at the same time make it longer. So I mean, the idea is probably just rotating it and extended these hoses, but I got to see if these hoses are actually a good clamp or not, or something. This one looks like it wants to get longer, but it won't. You can see where it goes in here and here, so I gotta figure that out. No big deal. It's just engineering. So, all right. Well, that's Scar for this week. Don't like, don't share, don't subscribe, because I'm sure I bore the hell out of you. So, thank you.